It looks like a lot of talk will be off ice as we count down to the NHL trade deadline and in the boardrooms and general managers' offices for a number of weeks. Now, Elliot Friedman apparently just tweeting Mike Richards on waivers. So I don't, we've heard all kinds of talk about different things. I don't know what kind of move. I don't see any point sending him to the minors, whatever it may be, but maybe talk about as business goes and the LA Kings, who would like to win another Stanley Cup. They're trying to figure a few things out, and what you think their strategy is about Mike Richards.
Well, they've tried to move him, and I know that there was talk between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the LA Kings regarding a deal that would involve a lot of cash going either way. And the LA Kings need a defenseman, and Dion Phaneuf would fit in that, and he's got some experience with Daryl Sutter, and they think that that is a trade that would work. Toronto and LA couldn't come to an agreement on that deal. But Richards has been moved around the league and dangled out there. He's got 5 years left on the contract, and right now the LA Kings have to make some decisions to improve their roster and add a defenseman. And the only way to do that is to try and get rid of that money. And if he's on waivers, they haven't been able to do it, obviously.
Mike Richards apparently being on waivers. And, okay, it's one thing to try to move him everywhere in the league. I cannot believe the L.A. Kings would be contemplating sending him to the American Hockey League. This would give him that option, because all you save is, what, $975 off the salary cap. You don't wipe off the whole close to $5 million or whatever it may be.
No, it's interesting that they've gone this route. And obviously we all know that there was extensive conversations, Toronto being one of them, and whatever other teams, to see what the interest was in Mike Richards. And I think the tough thing is he's a great fit on that LA team, and you hate to see, it all becomes the economics of the matter. And less about what the player contributes and more about what the number is on the paycheck. And you see that big ticket and playing on a fourth line, and it speaks to the depth of your organization. But when you have the void that they have on the blue line right now, and the Voyanov situation, one obviously they couldn't have predicted going in, and some of the other departures that they've had on the blue line, that's become a huge pressing need for them. But and that's a salary that suddenly becomes less of a bonus of having that depth up front, and more of a burden from a financial perspective. But when they talked about the potential of Phaneuf to Richards swap and whatever else that might have been involved, the problem for any team that would take Mike Richards back is that if you're a decent enough team, he's not going to be your number one center, but he's making number one center money. And where do you slot him in? Because all of a sudden you've got the same dilemma, don't you, Gord, with that LA has?
Well, absolutely. And it's, Bobby Holik, who did a little bit of media with us back in our Hockey Night in Canada radio days, and he had the great line that he signed a monster contract with the New York Rangers, $9 million a year. And as he said, if I am your number three center, like in New Jersey, you're probably going to win a Stanley Cup. If I'm your number one center, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. If I'm your number two center, will be competitive, but not a Stanley Cup winner. And that's
a great comparable.
It was, and he was being honest about himself. And the only thing this does about Mike Richards now, it's obviously whether it's the Maple Leafs and the discussion whether it was the Phaneuf contract coming back or whatever it may be. LA now has said, you know what, guys? He is out there. Any team now, any team can dive in and claim him, and speak up for now and forever hold your peace, because once whatever happens, he's off waivers or what, you can't anymore. You have to deal through the team.
It's going to be dollar for dollar.
Yeah,
after
so
that.
obviously the Kings were trying to work something, but also saying now, okay, you want to get in, you got to get in the deep end of the pool. You got him. You got his contract, and it doesn't cost you anything. And hoping that one of the 29 other teams are willing to do that.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens this time tomorrow.